Hi everyone, Jean Lurson here. When I was covering the use of tube greens last week, one of my subscribers left a comment below asking me to show how to mix interesting browns. And after thinking about it, I realized that actually browns are probably more difficult to mix than greens are, because there's so many greens available in tubes. And while some browns are available in tubes, apart from one, burnt umber, I haven't found any tube browns that I really would care to use. So I do mix most of my browns. I do also use burnt umber, so I'm going to put that down first, which is the only tube brown that I use. So it's a lovely warm brown. While it is very nice, we're going to cover mixing our own browns. Now, the thing that you have to remember about mixing browns is you need to mix a primary color with a complementary secondary color. So if you remember that, it's pretty simple. You could do a lot of experimenting and come up with your own interesting browns. I'm going to show you just a couple of them. I've got, for the green, I'm using my tube sap green, which I talked about last week, and we're going to mix sap green, for starters, with Winsor red. Let's see what sort of brown we get. Well, that's quite a nice mid to dark brown. I've got this lovely transparent Perol orange, and I'm going to mix it to get a dark brown. I'm going to mix it with phthalo blue green shade. Now, the other important thing is to mix these in equal quantities. And look at that. That's actually a very rich dark brown. And if you add water, well, it's a sort of, maybe I didn't put enough blue in there. I think you really have to experiment with this. So that gives you quite a dark brown. Let's try mixing a violet with a yellow, and now these are opposite on the color wheel, and your violet is your secondary color and your yellow is your primary color. So I'm going to take violet, carbazole violet, and mix that with start off with new gamboge, and we should get a nice brown with that. Let's see. So that's carbazole violet with new gamboge. Now I'm going to try it with Indian yellow. Let me turn this around so you can see what I'm doing. This is some Indian yellow. Let's see what that does. That to me is a more appealing brown, a mid brown. I'm going to mix sap green with some burnt sienna, which is the brown that I often go to when I'm doing a landscape painting. Burnt sienna mixes beautifully with a lot of things. It tones down the sap green when you want it to, and you can also mix it with blues to create black, gray. I'm going to try mixing the violet with quinacridone gold. So let's just see. Oh, that's a lovely, lovely, lovely brown. I do like that. And it's sort of mid to dark brown. want to try a couple of other colors. I'm trying phthalo green blue shade, and because this is blue shade, I need to use more of an orange than a red, so I'm using the transparent Parole orange to get a brown, and let's see what that does. Also a very nice brown. But this is just to give you an idea of how to experiment yourselves and take your primary color and mix it with the secondary color across the color wheel. I'm assuming that you all know your color wheel by now, so you'd know what the complementary secondary color will be on the color wheel. If not, just buy yourself a cheap color wheel and as a guide, and that'll help you to experiment and mix an array of colors to use in your landscape. Now I'm going to try some perylene green with the Parole orange in here. This is perylene green with Parole orange. You can get quite a dark brown with the perylene green and the Parole orange. Now let's try some Prussian green with the Parole orange. You should get quite a nice brown from that. There you are. It's a nice medium to dark brown with that. Creating more and more browns, but what I suggest is that you experiment with the colors that you have. Take your greens. If you have tube greens, start with those. If you need to mix some greens, mix those. And then use the complementary color on the color wheel. Just to reiterate, you can create an array of browns by just taking your primary or secondary color and mixing it with its opposite on the color wheel. It's as simple as that. So let's see if we can do a painting with some browns. I'm going to start off by wetting the sky. But I want it to get a bit darker than that, so I'm going to add a couple of different browns just that we mixed here, because I want to have some variety. I'm going to use some raw sienna and some cobalt blue. Didn't mean that to be so blue down there. I think I'll add a little bit of raw sienna into it. I really wanted more of a mixture here. Now, I want to use a dark brown to create some trees down at the bottom here. I'm going to take my smaller brush. I'm going to mix this phthalo blue green shade with the Parole orange and just meant to say in the beginning that I'm actually going to do a marsh scene, and I should have put a piece of tape down here because your water lines should always be straight. and I want to create some sparkles on the water. So I'm using my brush sideways to do that. And then I want to put some grasses in here. I think put a little bit of burnt sienna in here as well. I'm going to go in with some more of the phthalo blue and Perel orange and a little bit of, whoops, that was too green. I'm winging it as I go along here. So I've used quite a lot of browns now, and I think that the sky needs to be darker. So I'm going to just add some more brown, give it a bit of a spritz. Let's put some of the blue down here. You always want to carry your colors through. Now when it's drier, I want to add a few grasses, and there I've used about 4 different brown mixes for this painting. So I'm going to just add a few grasses with my rough hog's hair brush. I hope you enjoyed this little demonstration, and if you did, please give me a thumbs up, subscribe to my channel, and I'll see you next time.